This is Fearlessly Fertile. Welcome to the Fearlessly Fertile podcast, episode 362. Ovarian cysts, low AMH, and suboptimal swimmers didn't stop her from getting pregnant naturally. Marcy's story. Loves, I am so excited to be back with you this week, sharing our first testimony of triumph for 2026. And when you hear Marcy's story, it is going to have you start thinking about your journey, your prospects, your diagnosis, and what everyone is telling you is the reason this can't happen in a completely different way. Not only was Marcy facing ovarian cysts, she also found out that she had debris in her fallopian tubes, low AMH. When her husband was tested, he had suboptimal swimmers. I mean, it was, according to the outside world, a mess. But you're going to be hearing that over the course of Marcy's 4-year journey, she had to hold on to the belief that this could happen naturally for her, despite the fact she was being told she would need interventions like IUI and IVF. When you're listening to my interview with Marcy, I want you to pay very close attention to how this woman kept choosing her vision over the fear mongering. And she actually had the courage to freaking ghost her fertility clinic. May not be the move for everyone, but listen to how she approached her fertility journey and why mindset was so critical. So here is my conversation with Marcy. Marcy.
Hi, Roseanne.
We are going to have a conversation that I think you and I have been looking forward to for a long time. Why don't you start us off by sharing a little bit about how you found yourself on this journey to begin with?
Yeah. So back in 2021, that's when, I got married, and it was in April 2021 when I got married. And after that, I was like, it shouldn't be long. Like maybe the next couple months we'll conceive and that's it. Like I didn't expect to have any of these struggles. I didn't expect to wait 4 years, almost 4 years for a positive test. Like it was just crickets. It reached the new year, 2022, nothing. And then I was reaching that 1 year mark where it's like, the official, that's when you're infertile if it goes past a year. And I was like, I'm reaching that point, and I just started to spiral. I'm like, what is happening? What is going on?
So at that point, you go a year, you're newlywed, you guys are trying to have a baby. Like, what did you do when you first realized that this was going to be a thing? Did you freak out? Did you go to a doctor? Share a little bit about that.
Yeah, I was reluctant to immediately go to the doctors because I was like, no, like, I'm going to figure this out. I don't need a doctor. I'm going to just get everything in order, like try to help my diet, like DIY, like the whole, like, I'm going to do this myself thought came in. And I was doing that and still nothing. So I was like, okay, this isn't working. Like I was trying to do it myself. I wasn't really talking about it with anyone. I didn't even know how to talk about it. So that's when I just let time pass. Time kept passing. And then it was another year. Then it was another year. So it just kept going, like this endless silence. And I didn't know where to take myself.
So what was going on in that beautiful head of yours? Because you're talking years at this point. So what was it that finally broke open for you to kind of start exploring this even more, or even start to explore modalities that could help you?
I actually thought there has to be podcasts about this, because I was it's like, there has to be someone talking about this. Like, where can I go? And I actually came across the Wholesome Fertility podcast with Michelle Orovitz, I believe.
Yeah.
And during that almost exact time that I was searching, you were interviewed on her podcast. And that was like the end of 2022. And I'm like, okay, like this seems like odd timing. Like it's something like with my mind. And I started listening to your podcast. And also at the same time, I was listening to podcasts like about like astrology and different things. So I felt like that was damaging in a way because I started to look at the astrology. I started to look at like there's something bigger, like what's the reason? Like there has to be some kind of reason astrologically, maybe. Um, so at that same time, it was like I was listening to your podcast, and then I was listening to astrology podcasts, and then also getting astrology readings, which were damaging to me, because a lot were saying like it was never going to happen, and I just completely like um, got so trapped in that. Like I was just like, okay, they're saying it's not going to happen, and I took that as like that's it, like this probably isn't going to happen for me. But then I was listening to your mindset stuff, and I'm like, wait a minute, like it has to happen. Like I'd always had that gut feeling, like it's just going to happen.
Isn't it funny, Marcy, how otherwise reasonable women, because you're an educated, smart woman, how when we get into a state of panic, we start to look at all of these things outside of us, freaking astrology. Otherwise logical women will slip into superstition and reading tarot cards, things like that, to try to figure out what's going on when your heart, Marcy, was telling you the truth all the fucking time.
Yep.
Isn't that fascinating?
Yep. Yeah. It is. I was so vulnerable at that point. It's like hearing a no, even, like from the doctors, like I had ovarian cysts, I had debris in my fallopian tubes, like all these other things like happening at the same time. I'm like, okay, maybe this isn't going to happen, but still, like I felt like it was, and I didn't know when. And I'm like, it's going to happen.
At this point, you finally did go see a doctor, and they were telling you about ovarian cysts. They were telling you about debris in your fallopian tubes. It's really interesting how all of that information converged for you. You're hearing from astrologers it's never going to happen. And you see these doctors, and they're telling you all this stuff. But at the same time, there's something in you that's saying, no, I know this is going to happen for me. On the surface, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
So what did you do about that? Because if you're hearing from astrologers, this ain't going to happen, and then you're hearing all of this stuff about what's going on with your body, you could be totally immobilized.
Right. I had to trying to think of a metaphor here. It's like there's a little, like a fire. Like you have a fire and it starts like a little spark. It's like there's something there. And it's like, okay, this fire I need for like the warmth. I need to like keep warm here. I can't go cold. And I have to just keep it going. I have to keep feeding this fire. And it was just going more towards that light. Like whatever it was, like your podcasts were so helpful during those times. Like the interviews you did with all the ladies, like all like your own like solo podcasts, like all the interviews you do, like I just kept listening. I'm like, I need to feed that fire, which fire is my mind, and like just keep that going. Like I couldn't, if I like days, like it wasn't always easy, like days where I'd be like, I can't do this anymore, it's too much work, I just want to like forget all about this. But like kept going and kept looking for something that was going to like help me keep that spark. Like I couldn't just let it go. There was something in me, I just could not let it go.
At some point, you did more than just listen to the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
We had the good fortune of working together.
Yes.
What was it that made you want to go beyond the podcast? Because you could have listened to the podcast for years.
Right.
And it sounds like you kind of did. But what was that point? Because you could have said, well, oh shit, you know what? The doctor's telling me I have ovarian cysts. The doctor's telling me I've got this debris in my fallopian tubes. That's the real problem. But why did you go the extra mile and explore this mindset piece of it?
Yeah. It was, I would say it's immediate. Like doing more, like working with you during that time. I was like, again, wasn't talking much about it except to my husband. I was like, there's a whole group out there that I can be talking about this. I can be saying more. I could be learning more. I could be hearing more. I wasn't so isolated, because it seemed like no one goes through it. And then here's the whole world opens up and like, okay, there's like support here. I really wanted to feel supported. And I felt like the group calls, like just hearing everyone talk was like so helpful. Like it made me feel like I wasn't so alone. Gave me like feeling of like the support. But I also knew like just the mindset, because I'm into like manifestation and like there's like metaphysics, so spiritual stuff. Mindset it's like so powerful. Like manifesting, being on a certain frequency is super important. And I felt that if I were to do this program and keep on that frequency, it would eventually lead me to where, to my baby, to where I want to be.
What was it like saying yes to yourself? That's not an easy thing to do all the time, especially when, maybe that's something that you're not used to, or giving to yourself at that level seems crazy because what if you have to do IVF, or what do you have to do all this stuff? Like, what
Yes.
was it that really pushed you to say, I'm going to trust myself with this?
I think it was part gut instinct, like going off instinct, like going off the heart and just doing it, like just going towards what I felt was right at that time. And then knowing eventually like this, like that's part of the steps, part of the journey. So just going off of instinct.
I'm so proud of you for that, Marcy, because at a time when you could have not trusted your instinct, you could have allowed astrology or anybody else trying to see into the future for you, you did something that was extremely brave. You decided to trust yourself, which is massive. Sometimes women freak out about the idea of being in a group, because you get on these weird groups online and everyone's crying and everyone's miserable. What was it like for you to actually be in a really high level group like that?
Yeah, I think it got me out of my comfort zone, because I tend to just keep things in and not really talk about like the bigger feelings. So I feel like that was a big step to just do things differently than what I was doing before.
What we do is solution oriented. So you're actually getting coaching on what to do about this and how to transform those big things so that you can create an entirely different result. Because nobody wants to sit around listening to people bitch, right? Like
Yeah.
it was very, everything that we do is very focused on moving you forward. What do you think some of the biggest lessons were that you got from that?
I think the biggest thing was just the now. This is now. I remember there was one time it was like I think I wanted to share maybe like an old story or something like that. Like I want to go in the past, and I'm like, oh, I waited too long. Like I should have done this back in my 20s or whatever. And it was like, okay, you're like, we're not gonna talk about anything from the past, we're talking about it today or something like that. So just like really focusing on like the power we have right now. Like that was, I feel like, a key thing for me.
Yeah, you gotta get out of the past, Marcy.
Yeah.
Your baby is not in your past. Your baby
Right.
is here now. Let's shift gears a little bit. What did you do about these ovarian cysts? So you're working on your mind and you're getting into that place where you can call in this baby that you want. Was there anything that you did about the things that they found?
Yeah, I changed my diet a little bit. I felt like I generally was already eating healthy. So I was like, I'm not sure how much more I can like totally change. I mean, it's all in moderation, right? Like still had ice cream donuts, but not excessively. Um, so just keeping like the diet pretty good, like salads, proteins, starch. I started to go crazy on fertility teas, which I don't even know if they worked or not. I just started to drink them at a certain point because they tasted good to me. So I was like, this, I like the taste of it. But other than that, I just kind of like monitored the cyst. One cyst actually disappeared on the right side, and it was just the left one that remained. So I'm like, okay, maybe the other one's going to just go away. So I just kind of was like monitoring things, making sure they weren't getting any worse to where like if I needed surgery or some kind of intervention. So just kind of kept it at that pace.
At this time, were they telling you what needed to happen? Were they pushing you toward IVF or IUI or anything like that?
Yeah. Yeah, they were. I did go to the fertility specialist and they were just saying like, oh, I had low AMH also. It was like a 0.01. Like it was so close to zero. I was just like, like another layer to it. Like it was just like it was a point one. And then that gave them, the flag to be like, okay, you need assistance. You have to go IUI or IVF. My husband did get a semen analysis, which didn't come back very good. So that gave them more, stuff to say like, okay, you'll need assistance. And I just kind of like disappeared from them.
You ghosted them. So at this point, you had been trying for how many years? Was it 4?
For when I saw the IVF specialist,
Yeah.
that was about 2.5. Yeah, that was 2023. So about 2 years.
And then is that when they tell you that you have ovarian cysts and then you have some debris in your tubes? And then you find out your husband's got suboptimal sperm analysis at this point. So you were getting it from all sides.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I didn't feel comfortable going further with it. So I just was like, I'm just going to monitor things. I guess, didn't really contact them back after that. So I was just monitoring it, and my husband changed things in his diet, got healthier. Because my goal is always to have the baby naturally, which happened.
Yeah, and we're going to get to that, right? Because, at this point, this many years deep, you could have really gotten into a panic.
Yeah.
Knowing that you had challenges, your husband clearly had challenges, you could have gone a really dark road.
Mm-hmm.
And so where in that did we start working together?
Yeah, we started working together like right before that. I was like, okay, before I go further into the doctors and like getting more examinations, like I wanted to do the mindset first. I wanted to have
smart, Marcy. Like I'm interrupting you intentionally because it's so freaking smart to do that, because not only does it change the way you interpret the information that they're giving you, because so often it's really frightening what you hear, especially with all the different factors that you had, and you're hearing IUI, you're hearing IVF. Having done this work in that process, I bet you didn't have to be as afraid as most people are. Do you think that's a fair assessment?
Yes. Yeah. I wasn't coming out of the doctor's office like shaking, like a little, like, yeah, maybe mentally, like kind of like shooken up and anxious, but I wasn't like, oh my gosh, like there's no solution. I was just like, had the mental part, which isn't easy, but it's like having that mental part already, like some resources to look back on and like, how can I think about this differently, was so helpful. Like I didn't feel completely helpless.
Well, and of course not. You have like the most powerful thing that you could possibly have, and that's your head on straight. That gave you the ability to really think about these things differently and reframe. Instead of going into a panic and jacking your cortisol up, you had a different way of looking at things, and that absolutely controls what is going on inside of your body. So you do this work, you talk to the doctors, and you're changing some things. Your husband's changing his diet. You guys are both getting healthy. Did something a little unusual happen in this process?
It was during that time that I did conceive naturally.
You're actually able to conceive.
Right.
Exactly as you had expected to. And that your heart told you that you could.
Right.
Conceive naturally.
Yes. Naturally. And I was like in shock. It was also, it's so interesting. It's like my heart knew that's how like it was going to happen, but when it happens, it's so shocking. But it's like, it's expected, but shocking. Like that's where I was at. Like you come to that point.
I remember when you messaged me and told me, I'm like, Well,
Yeah.
it's exactly as you say. It's not
Uh-huh.
terribly surprising because your heart knew, like you knew, and you were hesitant about doing any of these treatments because there was something in you that was telling you, this isn't for me.
Mm-hmm.
But you had some belief deep down that knew that you could do this without having to do these treatments. It's like at
Yeah.
one level you expect it, but at another level, it's still surprising that you're like, holy shit, this
Mm-hmm.
actually happened.
Mm-hmm.
Was that your first positive pregnancy test?
Yes, it
In
was.
like 4 years
Yep.
by this point.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. What
During
was
that
that?
whole journey, that was my first.
What was that like, Marcy, when you finally come face to face with this positive pregnancy test that seems so elusive? And at one point in time, you were telling yourself, well, maybe this might not happen. Like, clearly, it happened.
I just saw that test, like, and it was also, I will share, it was an emotional time because my stepmom had just passed away. So it was literally a month after she passed away last December, December 22nd. And it was literally a month after that I conceived naturally. But here is a positive test. Like, here it is. I had to keep going on instinct. I was like, that's a part of the journey. I feel like it's like you just go, you just do one thing, see how you feel about it. If something feels off, then you do another thing. It's like, how does this feel now? Like, that's how I was just going about it. It led me to the positive test, which my husband said to take because I also stopped wanting to take any test. I was like, no, I'm not going to take tests. I don't want to see another negative, or I just didn't want to see it.
One thing that was consistent, regardless of what you were trying, what you were eating, what you were doing or not doing, was you. You
Mm-hmm.
were consistent this whole time. It's like right in front of our face. It's you. It's
Mm-hmm.
you. It's your curiosity. It's your strength. It's your willingness to move forward. Because you didn't stay stuck in, I got ovarian cysts or my husband's got slow swimmers. Like, you didn't stay in that place. And you didn't just get pregnant, you stayed pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
Because what are we, 3 months postpartum?
Yes, 3 months postpartum.
Oh my
Yes,
goodness. And
baby
so
boy.
you had a baby boy.
Yes,
Being a boy mom is special, is it not?
it is. It is.
Oh my goodness. And did you guys find out before he was born that he was a boy, or did you like let it be a surprise?
My husband, so at the time that I took the test, he's like, before I took the test, like, you're pregnant and it's going to be a boy. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, we found out before and he's here.
Wow. And just think, Marcy, you were once a listener to this podcast and now you're a guest.
Yep.
And when we're done recording this, you get to go watch your little boy sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Can you believe it?
Yeah, it's still surreal. It's still surreal.
What's a message that you would want to share with the women listening? What are some of the things that you would want them to take away from our conversation?
Yeah, I think finding that light, that positivity in whatever you do, like finding something that's you feel is going to lead you to your baby. And to be cautious of when you're in a vulnerable space, like, who are you listening to, whether it's the doctors, the astrologers, like just to check in emotionally, like, is this like really where I should be at, like listening to them say all these things like doom and gloom, or can I think differently? So always looking for something to think differently, when you can. And it's not easy, as I was saying. And to also, the faith part and just believing that everything works out. I know it's hard, like in the moment, but it's not only needed like for conception, but it goes past it. It's like that strength is needed throughout the whole pregnancy. It's needed, as you're raising your little one, because I've had to go to the emergency room during the pregnancy, and I had some scares, but I just kept the faith. Like everything is it's going to work out.
That's so beautiful, Marcy. That really brings us to a point that I think, because you so brilliantly opened this up, was to emphasize to the women listening, hey, anything that has you look outside of yourself, question it. Everything about the work that we did was about bringing the power back to you, to trust the information within. You know, anytime you run into something that says, well, you know what, this is the real answer over here, and look outside of yourself to this, hand your authority to that, you know, whether it's a treatment, a diet, lotion, or potion, at the end of the day, the most important component here is you. Not just you, Marcy, from having experienced that. I know that myself from having experienced that for years. And then we see this in all of the women that show up on this podcast. The moment they take their authority back and aren't handing it to astrologers or people doing all these readings and stuff, like, you want to get onto a path that reinforces that ability within you to trust yourself, to trust your body, to trust this baby, and to trust your path. And I think that really showed up in the way that your journey turned out. Marcy was right. You proved them all wrong, Marcy. You didn't need IVF. You didn't need IUI. And even though your ovaries had a cyst and your fallopian tubes had some debris, your baby came right through.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Marcy, I am so grateful for your generosity and your willingness to share your story, because so many women find themselves in your position and might be afraid a few years deep, but you're proving that when your heart's telling you the truth, you need to listen. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Go and hug that precious little boy for us.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of you and sending you so much love. So thank you, Marcy.
Thank you.
Loves, didn't you just love Marcy's story? It is fascinating to me. Anytime a woman flips that switch in her head, builds the skill set of mindset, creates a mindset strategy that keeps her moving forward regardless of the present circumstances and anyone else's fear around her. Today, Marcy gets to hold her baby boy as she watches this episode because she took the next right step. Something within her told her that she wasn't going to make this happen if her mind, her frequency, her energy were completely off. Here's the thing. Frequency, mindset, energy, none of that shit is actually woo-woo. It is science. It is logical and linear in its progression in helping you create the results that you want on your journey. Let's let 2025 go. You need a new strategy for how you're going to approach your journey in 2026. All of that starts with the way you think, because you have to think, believe, and take action like a woman who succeeds on this journey. If you have any expectation of getting across the finish line, mama, all of that starts up here. If you want to learn what I taught Marcy, go to my website, www.frommaybe2baby.com, and apply for an interview there. The Fearlessly Fertile Mindset Strategy is unlike anything else in the world. Nothing else touches it. Your mind tells your body what to do, and your body is constantly listening, and you want that soundtrack to be one of fertility success. Go to my website, www.frommaybe2baby.com. If you don't have a mindset strategy for success, baby, what the hell are you doing? Go to www.frommaybe2baby.com. Till next time, change your mindset, change your results.
Love this episode of the Fearlessly Fertile podcast? Subscribe now and leave an awesome review. Remember, the desire in your heart to be a mom is there because it was meant for you. When it comes to your dreams, keep saying hell yes.